Hello friends, welcome to Prefacts Corner Series discussion. Today is 6th June 2020 and the important articles to be covered in this discussion includes LIDAR, Near Earth Objective, Race to Zero campaign, United Nations Security Council, exotic animals, and lastly, Payments Infrastructure Development Fund. Our first important article is on LIDAR. Recently, a UK-based team continuing its research over the Tamar Valley through the light detection and ranging data. So LIDAR is a light detection and ranging data. Through this method, commonly used by geologists and surveyors to make high-resolution maps, laser light is used to survey a site and its reflection is measured with a sensor. Where is Tamar Valley located? Tamar Valley is located in the south of England and is a rich archaeological landscape with many sites belonging to the Iron Age and Roman era. Tamar Valley is a World Heritage Site due to its historic mining activities. A World Heritage Site, as we all know, that it is a place that is listed by the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization for its spatial, cultural or physical significance. The list of World Heritage Sites is maintained by the International World Heritage Program administered by the UNESCO World Heritage Committee. LIDAR is a remote sensing method that uses light in the form of a pulsed laser to measure ranges and variable distances. These light pulses combined with other data recorded by the airborne system generate precise three-dimensional information about the shape of the Earth and its surface characteristics. A LIDAR instrument principally consists of a laser, a scanner, and a specialized GPS receiver. Airplanes and helicopters are the most commonly used platforms for acquiring LIDAR data over broad areas. LIDAR is used for agriculture, hydrology, and water management systems, as well as geology-related applications. It is also used in archaeology. Next article is on NearEarth Object. Recently, NASA announced that a giant asteroid is expected to pass Earth on June 6th. A near-Earth object, the asteroid is called 163348 2002 NN4 and is classified as a potentially hazardous asteroid. So what are near-Earth objects and why are they studied? Near-Earth objects occasionally approach close to the Earth as they orbit the Sun. NASA's Center for Near-Earth Object Study determines the times and distances of these objects as and when their approach to the Earth is close. NASA defines near-Earth objects as comets and asteroids nudged by the gravitational attraction of nearby planets into orbits, which allows them to enter the Earth's neighborhood. These objects are composed mostly of water ice with embedded dust particles. Near-Earth objects offer scientists clues about the chemical mixture from the planets formed. So, near-Earth objects are comets and asteroids nudged by the gravitational attraction of nearby planets that are composed mostly of water ice with embedded dust particles. What is 163348 2002 NN4? It is an asteroid that is classified as a potentially hazardous asteroid, which means the asteroid has the potential to map threatening close approaches to the Earth. 2002 NN4 was discovered in July 2002 and is expected to approach the Earth on June 6th. Next article is on Race to Zero campaign. With the 26th Conference of the Parties to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change pushed back a full year to November 2021, the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change Climate Ambition Alliance has launched a global campaign called Race to Zero. Race to Zero encourages countries, companies, and other entities to deliver structured net zero greenhouse gas emission pledges by the time the talks begin. So, what is the campaign? The Race to Zero campaign aims to codify commitments made via the Climate Ambition Alliance, which launched ahead of last year's COP25 in Real Madrid, Spain. The signatories are responsible for 23% of current greenhouse gas emissions worldwide and 53% of global GDP, according to the Energy and Climate Intelligence Unit. The Race to Zero campaign is intended to be an umbrella campaign for coordinating commitments made under existing initiatives by providing comparability and establishing criteria for best practices. The United Nations-led initiative instructs nations to submit more ambitious, nationally determined contributions that were created for the Paris Agreement. According to the United Nations, the world is way off track to deliver the aims of the Paris Agreement. Preliminary data for 2019 suggests that greenhouse gas emissions increased globally in 2019 and carbon emissions from fossil fuels grew by more than 0.5% last year. The Race to Zero campaign will encourage renewed commitments to reaching the 1.5 degrees Celsius target of the Paris Agreement. Next article is on United Nations Security Council. Recently, India has launched its campaign voucher ahead of elections for 5 non-permanent members of United Nations Security Council. This will be the 8th time India will occupy a non-permanent United Nations Security Council seat, with its last since in 2011-12. India's overall objective during this tenure in the United Nations Security Council will be the achievement of norms, that is, a new orientation for a reformed multilateral system. So, what is United Nations Security Council? The United Nations Security Council is one of the 6 principal organs of the United Nations and is charged with the maintenance of international peace and security. Its powers include the establishment of peacekeeping operations, establishment of international sanctions, and authorization of military action through Security Council resolutions. It is the only United Nations body with the authority to issue binding resolution to member states. The Security Council consists of 15 members. They are Russia, the United Kingdom, France, China, and the United States serve as the body's 5 permanent members. These permanent members can veto any substantive Security Council resolution, including those on the admission of new member states or candidates for Secretary General. The Security Council also has 10 non-permanent members elected on a regional basis to serve 2-year terms. The body's presidency rotates monthly among its members. Next article is on exotic animals. Recently, the Union Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change has issued an advisory to streamline and formalize the process of importing live exotic animals. So, what are exotic animals? Exotic animals are those species that are found in a particular country. The advisory has defined them as those that are mentioned under the appendices of the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species of Wild Fauna and Flora, commonly known as CITES, but not under the schedules of the Wildlife Protection Act of 1972. Some previous current affairs on CITES. In August 2019, India has submitted proposals regarding changes to the listing of various wildlife species in the CITES Secretariat meeting in Geneva, Switzerland. The proposals submitted are regarding changes in the listing of smooth-coated otter, small-clawed otter, Indian star tortoise, toko gecko, wedgefish, and Indian rosewood. For the Indian rosewood, the proposal is to remove the species from CITES Appendix 2. The species covered by CITES are listed in 3 appendices on the degree of protection they require. India is among the parties proposing the relisting of the star tortoise from CITES Appendix 2 to Appendix 1. With regard to the 2 otter species, India, Nepal, and Philippines have proposed that the listing be moved from CITES Appendix 2 to Appendix 1 for the more endangered species. A similar proposal has been made to include the toko gecko in Appendix 1. What is the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species of Wild Fauna and Flora? CITES is an international agreement between governments. It is aimed at ensuring the international trade in specimens of wild animals and plants does not threaten their survival. The CITES Secretariat is administered by the United Nations Environment Programme and is located at Geneva, Switzerland. There are 3 appendices, that is Appendix 1, where the species are in danger of extinction because of international trade are listed. Under the Appendix 2, the species that are not facing imminent existence but need monitoring to ensure that trade does not become a threat are listed. Under Appendix 3, species that are protected in at least one country when that country asks others for help in regulating the trade are listed. States that have agreed to be bound by the convention are known as parties. Although CITES is legally binding on the parties, in other words, they have to implement the convention, it does not take the place of national laws. Rather, CITES provides a framework to be respected by each party, which has to adopt its own domestic legislation to ensure that CITES is implemented at the national level. Our last important article is on Payments Infrastructure Development Fund. Recently, the Reserve Bank of India has announced the creation of a 500 rupees Payments Infrastructure Development Fund. The Payment Infrastructure Development Fund has been created to encourage acquirers to deploy point of sale infrastructures both physically and digitally in Tier 3 to Tier 6 centers and northeastern states. The fund will be governed through an advisory council, but it will be managed and administered by the Reserve Bank of India. The Payments Infrastructure Development Fund will also receive recurring contributions to cover operational expenses from card issuing banks and card networks. The Reserve Bank of India will also contribute to yearly shortfalls if necessary. The setting up of this fund is in line with the recommendation of the report of the Committee on Deepening of Digital Payments, chaired by Nandan Nilekani. This move is expected to make the economics more favorable and will significantly increase the merchant base accepting digital payments. Quick revision of the discussion. Tamar Valley is located in the south of England and is a World Heritage Site due to its historic mining activities. LIDAR, that is light detection and ranging, is a remote sensing method that uses light in the form of a pulsed laser to measure ranges and variable distances. Near Earth objects are comets and asteroids nudged by the gravitational attraction of nearby planets into orbits and are composed mostly of water ice with embedded dust particles. The United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change Climate Ambition Alliance has launched a global campaign called Race to Zero that encourages countries, companies, and other entities to deliver structured net zero greenhouse gas emission pledges. The United Nations Security Council is one of the six principal organs of the United Nations and is charged with the maintenance of international peace and security. Exotic animals are those species that are found in a particular country and is mentioned under the appendices of the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species of Wild Fauna and Flora, that is CITES. CITES is legally binding on the parties and is administered by the United Nations Environment Programme, the Reserve Bank of India, not by the National Payment Corporation of India. You have to remember this very, very important fact. So, the Reserve Bank of India has announced the creation of Payment Infrastructure Development Fund. Thank you for watching.